we're back again after our Christmas and New Year break with VIP Boxing's Bell to Bell podcast. And this week, it's a landmark edition, landmark episode, 100, not our 100th episode. And thanks to everyone who watches us every week, listens to us. I know a lot of people listens to us on iTunes because we see the charts on there and it does very well. So thanks very much. And of course, don't forget, leave a review if you can. I'm Steve Lillis, and with me, as always, my co-host, John Evans. And look, when you're a century not out, there's only one man to call up. It's the chief of VIP Boxing, Steve Wood. Steve, you're the only man we could have on for 100. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate. Good break over the Christmas and New Year period. I'm in Portugal as we speak now. I'm back full time Wednesday, and looking forward to getting into the new season, mate.
Yeah, you're okay, John, as well. I don't want you to tell me you're not okay because I ignored you
No,
there.
yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Speak to the man who bankrolls us.
Yeah,
Steve.
but I'll tell you what, it's not going to be our usual 1 to 6 rounds every this week. But it was the same as we did this very edition last year when we had Steve on and we chat about VIP boxing's big fights that could be happening this year. We're not going to keep you too long. We're not one of these pods that go on for hours and hours, and you have to listen on the tube journey on the way home for 2 weeks before you get through one subject. Steve, first of all, how many VIP shows this week? You sent me the list, and I think, was it 19 or 20 you're going for?
Well, we'll probably have to do a few more, but my plans was to do 2 a month, obviously forgetting January and August, but at the moment, because it's hard to get venues, we've had to book them a little bit early, and I've planned them now, and I have got 19 at the moment. Probably do another 2, so just looking for the quiet slots, and then we're in and we're away. And as you know, because you're helping out with the matchmaking now, we're starting to put some decent shows together.
That's good. So I'll ask you after. I'll ask Steve first, John. Tell me what VIP Boxing's aims are in 2023, Steve, first of all.
Yeah. Do you know what? When you mentioned it was coming on today, and I started to have a look back, I didn't realise that we've got a few fellas to bring back who's had losses, haven't we? So when I started looking at that, I thought to myself, "Wow, it wasn't a good 2022." So you've got obviously Josh Waddington only last month lost his world title. The month before, Zelfa Barrett challenged for the world title and lost. Brad Ray was being developed nicely and lost in a domestic English class, which was unexpected. Mark Leach lost his British title on the way the next one was going to be a European one, and Jack Cullen lost the European title. So there's like 5 top quality kids there. That's my main focus has obviously got to be in getting them back into at least the level they were. Zelford and Josh, we need to try and get them to be world champions in the first probably 6 to 9 months of 2023. And then Leachy, Cullen and Brad Ray, the domestic level, British titles at least by the end of the year. So it comes as a shock, really, that those 5 kids were all champions and looking like they was going on a big run, and they've ended. So that's the first one. But then I'm looking at the young kids. Like when I say young, the kids who are like between 7-0 and 12-0. You got Akib Fiaz, Ben Marksby, Joe Howard, Corey O'Regan, and Brandon Diard. That again, I want them all fighting for British titles by the end of the year if I can. I mean, they're good enough, and if we get the right fights for them, and they continue to improve like they have been doing. Certainly Brandon Diard, I don't think anyone knows of him, and I've been struggling to get a TV company behind me, but if we can, he'll top the bill on the Liverpool show on the 4th of March, and I've got to do it for something, even if it's just Eliminator. No, so there's good kids like that, and then if you start looking at the kids who are 6-0 and under, your Levi Smith, your Hasim Raymond, your Ethan Browns, Lennox Livco, Jake Harrison. There's loads of kids that I need to kind of build up into the position the others are there, and then I just counted a load of names where they've really got to show what they're made of this year. Sonny Taylor,
Yeah.
Nathan Qualis, he was a bit unlucky in his last fight, which should have been for the title, and then he got pulled out, and then he suffered an injury. Mickey Ellison's just had a great win away from home. He's worth the title. Carl Lamotti, Jack Flatley, he's challenged a few, but never seems to have got there. Mason Cartwright, I've offered him to 2 or 3 people. I mean, the latest one was the matchroom kid fighting in Liverpool on the 11th of March. The Black Thunder, can't pronounce how they named him, but looks like
Agayako, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they've turned him down, and I mean, I've got Moorcroft and Bennett into the board at the moment for the vacant welterweight. I don't know if that's going to get passed on Wednesday, but them two need to start challenging and getting into titles. Jake James is at that level now. Matty Rennie, Tom Farrell's had a few goals, won titles, and coming to the end of his career and ready for another goal. Kane Gardner, we just offered them for Dalton Smith. They're looking to do a voluntary defence for him. So we'll see if that happens. And Luke Evans and like Reece Moulds fighting for the English. So there's loads and loads going on, and like we've got places like Blackpool I want to develop with Tyrone Boyne Price, Jacobs and Jackson Hume. So there's loads and loads to go at, and my main thing now is to put the kids in good fights, fair fights, and if they're good enough, they'll win, won't they? If they're not, they'll learn and come back, and that's what we're going to have to do, even at the level of Josh Warrington. They're going to have to come back and be champions again.
John, let me ask you, which of the VIP fighters are exciting you at the moment?
A couple of them. Steve went through there. There's fighters on VIP at every level, isn't there? So you got everything from world title to area title. There's going to be VIP fighters involved. I'll ask Steve something in a minute, whether that makes something difficult. But for me, 2 I've really liked is Jacob Roll. I like Jake, but from his debut, I thought he looked like he had something special. And Joe Howarth, who a lot of people won't have seen him. If you're at home and you're listening to this, get on the YouTube page, the VIP YouTube page, and look up Joe Howarth, because he's a little wrecking machine, isn't he? He's a fan favourite, crowd pleaser, all action. I think he's made for TV, Joe Howarth. Those are the 2 that I like. But with you saying there's going to be VIP fighters all fighting for titles, Steve, I know you were interested in matching them together in these little tournaments because they can all see titles. Does that make that a little bit more difficult to do?
It does in a way, but they're going to have to accept. I mean, even though, and I was thinking about this before, even though there's so much TV, you got your DAZN, your BT, your Skies, your Channel 5s, and I believe in Channel 4 is coming into it, even though I've not seen any announcement on it yet. But it's like, you think with all those TV shows, you get more opportunities, but they're not happening. And, like, something Steve wants to speak about later on is about how we can improve boxing. I think it's got to start at the top end, and I'd forget the promoters having to put good fights on. I, as a TV executive, would insist and make sure that they do, because there's too many good fighters fighting bums. And to say a bum, I shouldn't be saying that, but they're fighting 80-20 fights, and the worst they should have is a 60-40 when they're on TV and they're being paid well.
Just before we move on from VIP, I'll ask you both a question. I'll start with you, John, first. And I know you're close to more than most people work on the media side of boxing. Where do you see Josh Warrington in 12 months?
I've not spoke to Josh since the fight. I think he was heartbroken by it, wasn't he, Steve? I think he's been keeping a low profile, but I think I said after the fight, after 7 rounds, I started worrying a little bit for Josh when he fought Lopez. It looked like things were hurting him. Lopez was in his rhythm. But the thing I liked about Josh that night, his chin's good. His chin's still there. He came through stuff. But he had that heart and that desire, didn't he, to pull the fight back over the last third. And he really closed it up on the scorecards. So I don't think there's anything to worry about him gone off the end of a cliff or anything like that. I think Steve will know more about what the plan is than me, but he's a shoo-in for another world title fight purely because of the crowd he brings, the style of fighting, and how big he's become. I would hope to see the Lee Wood fight by summer. That's what I would hope for.
Dave?
I mean, there's a few options with him, isn't there? I mean, going on to the fight, John, it was a close fight. I'm not denying that, but we were all disappointed that as a champion and a champion at home, they should come and rip the title off you, and they didn't do. And Josh comfortably won the last 4 rounds.
Yeah,
Are
that's
we
what
saying he didn't win? Are we saying he didn't win 2 of the first 8? I mean,
Lopez
I
was
had him.
really good for 6 or 7, but then he got on his bike and he was complaining and arguing and buying time. And as you say, that's not ripping the title away, is it?
No, and the other thing is, what I mean, they could have helped us a little bit. He had one thing where he gave a minute break because he'd been hit on his leg, and he kind of called that minute break. He kind of stopped. It was unbelievable. The referee would let him get a breather, and he was letting him get in breathers with the holding, and he warned him and warned him and warned him. Never took a point off him. That would have made a big difference for us. But as you say, it was a slow start from Josh, and that's normally not what he's like. He's normally straight into it. And
I think the nose went very quickly, didn't it, Steve?
Sorry?
His nose went very quickly, and that seemed to throw him off a bit.
He says he wasn't affected by that, but he said he was a bit apprehensive on 2 things. One was obviously he's thinking it's probably his last fight at Leeds, and he's never lost at Leeds, and didn't want to get beat at Leeds, and didn't expect to get beat at Leeds, and then he was a bit apprehensive for his jaw because obviously the fight before, even though he won, he suffered a broken jaw, so he was fighting with a plate in it for the first time, and he said he was a bit apprehensive. So they're just little things that you can always find excuses, but I just felt that he deserved as a champion to keep it, and we've said we're up for the rematch if we can get it, but if not, I would have presumed Eddie will be looking at the winner of Lara and Wood for us, which will be a big fight. I just don't want to wait too long now before he gets back out.
Yeah, well, we want to see him in big fights in 2023, and I'm sure there's going to be at least one big fight for Josh this year. Big fights you expect to happen involving British fighters in 2023. I mean, I haven't said a lot tonight so well because Steve's been fluent and in his views. But the one I still think we're going to see this year, and I know everyone's going to go mad when it gets announced, if it gets announced, is Ben Eubank.
Yeah.
What do you think, John?
I agree. I think all that controversy made it even bigger.
Of course it has. It's gone from a big arena fight to a stadium fight.
Yeah, if Eubank gets past Liam Smith, the build-up will start literally the next day, won't it?
Yeah.
And I think they'll find a way around this drug situation.
Well, even if they said you're getting a 9-month ban and backdate it, it's over by the summer. Let's just see what happens first. We can't preempt. No one said he's guilty or not guilty yet.
But it's so big, isn't it, now? It's become so big. The bad blood's gone to another level. The attention from not just boxing fans, everybody, people who might have just took a passing interest in the 2 sons of people who once knew fighting, their interest all gone to another level. I think it's the Fury-Joshua fight. It's the biggest all-British fight you can make, I think.
Yeah. Steve?
I don't think it'll happen, me. I think, and I'm glad about it, eventually the drug situation's kind of been highlighted to the level where people are getting fed up with it now. Fed up with the way that they was trying to let it happen without people know that it failed not 1 but 2 drug tests. And I feel now there's such a stigma on that. And, the last I heard was probably 3 weeks ago when he said, we've been cleared, we've proven we're innocent, but nobody's seen anything. It's just a mess.
Yeah,
well, wasn't it? Didn't he present a 270-page explanation?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, John. You know what?
270 pages, does it?
It sounds awful. You wonder what percentage of big name fighters are on gear, and I said this a lot on here, and it's almost as if you might as well. I think this sometimes. Tell you what, we're going to test you all, but if you all go on it, continue, because so many fighters get off with it now for some excuse or another. So, if you fail it, carry on fighting, and we'll put an asterisk on BoxRec saying drugs failure. You know, that's what it's getting to. Then that's what I do. It's nuts. I remember years ago, prominent American journalist back in the 90s, this issue was raising and no one was getting caught at all. Someone said, I remember, I'm not going to say who the journalist was. It was a prominent American journalist. It was during the 90s heavyweights, when it was going through a good era. And they said to me, if I had a heavyweight boxer I was managing who was a prospect, first thing I'd do would be put him on the juice because he won't get caught. You know,
it's a shame, isn't it, when it's like that. It's, you know, somewhere along the lines, and there's a massive cost to it. We've got to start testing a little bit more than we do, because like you can speak to fighters, and I've got plenty of fighters who've had 20 fights and never had a drug test.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, that, isn't it? That's a number of fighters that have said that, even elite fighters who say they were tested once or twice in their life. Anyway, other big fights, and just one I want to mention, because John spoke about it the other week, and I love getting John talking about this fight. Fury against the Juggernaut. John, are we going to see it this year?
I think we'll see it this year. I think September, October in a stadium somewhere in Great Britain. I think we're going to see the Juggernaut steaming straight towards Tyson Fury, and I can't wait.
You won't be able to sleep for a week.
The Juggernaut's our favourite heavyweight, isn't he, Steve?
Yeah, I love him. You won't be able to sleep for a week, John, will you? Any other fights you want to see, Steve?
I want to see 2 wins in the Juggernaut and Fury, John.
Speak to me. Speak to me after I've seen Fury and Usyk.
You know what?
Joyce just looks. You can stand him on his head for 6 rounds, but he's just going to keep coming and coming and coming and coming.
You know what? The only thing you will say that will put me off, he's one of those fighters, Joe, that when the night does come and he's past the sell-by date, that's going to be it. The tree's down. It's not getting back up. It's one of those who'll never be the same again. He's just that type of fighter. He could go over. He could thrill us for another 12, 18 months. And one night he could go over from a jab, and that'll be it for one of those type of fighters. But while he's here, I love every minute of the Juggernaut, and even better, he's from South London. So, and
as good as Fury's number one at the minute. As good as he's been, he does get hit. You know, he does. Wilder was hitting him and stuff. Chisora wasn't a good enough test. Chisora's way past it. He couldn't put any pressure on him. Dillian Whyte didn't turn up on the night. But you know, if you put it on Fury, people like Otto Walling did it, didn't they? If you put it on Fury, if you can get close, you can have your success. So I tell you what, it'll be an entertaining one as well, won't it?
So we're writing Uskov here, because I've got like 4 fights in the world, not the domestic ones, and Uskov Fury was one, and you know, I know the size difference and the reach. Everyone's not giving him a prayer, but you know, he's a clever fighter, and you know, I think it's a 50-50.
No, I'm not writing him off at all. We're just talking about fights we think we'll see. I'm not right. I think that's a really hard fight for Fury if it takes place. There's talk of March 4. I know that's the working date for the fight, March the 4th. Well, I believe it's March the 4th, the working date. And, you know, and after that fight, Fury will need another 7-8 months out before he takes on the Juggernaut. But I just think Fury's size will come into play later on in that fight.
Yeah, I think Usyk will land plenty on him early. But the thing Fury has got, the other heavyweights got, Fury won't mind making it a stinker. Fury will lean on him and make it messy and mess him about and use his weight. You know, Joshua seemed to be obsessed with trying to outbox him and box with Usyk, didn't he? Fury won't worry about that. If Fury's getting pinged off those left hands, he'll just start walking him down, leaning on him, mauling him, and just make it a stinker.
I agree with you.
I think Fury might just be clever enough to beat him on points.
Any other fights for you, Woody, before we move on?
Well, the other 3 I've got down there, we just moving quickly. It looks like Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia, which is going to be my favourite fight of the year. Is going to happen. Looking forward to that. Crawford v Spence was hot, wasn't it? At the end of last year, has gone cold. I'm thinking it'd be good if he could pull that over there, and expecting Bertie Bev to beat Yada. I'd love to see him and Bivol with the 2 Russians fight each other. I think that would be an absolute brilliant fight. Yeah,
well, I'm sure we'll talk about Beterbiev Yard, but 2 of the fights you mentioned there, Gervonta Garcia and Crawford Spence. I don't know how John feels, but I'll just say I believe them 2 fights happen when I actually see the ring walks.
Yeah, I'm saying, fingers crossed. You know, especially Tank against Garcia. You know, that one's really got my attention at the moment. The only one thing I'd like to see in boxing this year is these young fighters like Davis and Garcia. If they do fight, the winner doesn't use that win to go into almost semi-retirement, and we only see them once a year after that. I hope the winner, we're into like a new era of boxing where the winner sees just how much attention and praise they get for winning a fight like that, and they take it on and stay at that level. I think it'd be really sad if Tank knocked out Garcia, or God, Garcia puts Tank over one of those right hands, and then we don't see him until next May. I think we need these now young stars to be active and keep fighting and keep fighting.
Yeah. What do you think our boxing can change for the better this year, Steve? Obviously, activity is something John's brought up a lot on the pod, and seeing these guys busy. What would you like to see, Steve?
Well, that's one of the notes I put down here. The bigger fighters have got to fight at a minimum 3 times a year. So I think we've got to see them more active. I've already touched on it that I think the fights have got to be more competitive now, particularly because there's so much competition from the TV companies that it's diluting the audience for the sponsors to get involved. And like, I think you'll start seeing advertising drop down. And I read a report the other day that Sky have already lost 13% of their subscribers in 2022, not because they're doing anything wrong. This is like not boxing, but just as a group, simply because of the market. I think that'll be affected by the illegal users, and obviously the fact that there's a worldwide economy problem, isn't there? And the spare cash to be paying for DAZN, to be paying for BT, to be paying for Sky, it's not there, and they're either going to stop them all or they're going to pick and choose what they was going to do. So I think boxing fans now will be picking the ones that are putting the good fights on, and I think the TV companies need to turn out these promoters and say, I'm not giving you loads of money unless you're putting value for money on, because some of the shows last year were stinkers.
Yeah, you know what? I would the thing I love is one thing I would love is also, so another thing John has spoken about before on the pod, TV companies to get together and stop these date clashes with fights. It's ridiculous. It doesn't happen in any other sport where you get different, you know, you won't get 2 Premier League matches on the same time. You know, it's just unheard of. I just think BT, Sky need to get together, and then when there's 2 major nights on because that is just diluting the audience, and that's killing it for advertisers. It's not doing them any favors either.
Yeah, it does nothing. You know, we said it, didn't we? Sky could be building up a young prospect who looks really good. He's progressing nicely, starting to gain a bit of a following. But because there's 2 other shows on at the same time, they just get completely and utterly overlooked, overshadowed by everything else. And it doesn't do anything for building prospects, let alone drawing attention to a full show. It's just it's a mad way of doing it. And I just think it's all down to ego between the big promoters.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll move on because we haven't put enough money in the meter to keep speaking for much longer. I know you're in Portugal having a break, Steve, and you're looking hungry. So what boxers are going to be...
booked for 8 o'clock, mate.
All right, okay. Well, we're not going to keep you much longer. Who are the hungry prospects this year? British, Steve, for you.
Do you know what? I've not had a chance to look up on that one there. I mean, I could talk a few, and we mentioned like that Joe Howard, but like John didn't mention, he had no amateur experience, you know, and he come from white collar, and he bowled over the 3 toughest journeymen in the country that, you know, have had like 100 fights each and been stopped once or twice, and he smashed the 3 of them and stopped them all in his first fight. So we've been bringing the tough Nicaraguans over to get the rounds in with him. So he's like 7-0 and going in the right direction. But again, no TV companies interested in him. I have asked a few, but you know, it's like they've all got their own little cliques and they're rolling out the same people. And like I said before, they wouldn't kind of put Joe in with one of them because it'd be too much of a test for him. But you know, there's some good kids coming along, and I've watched some on BT that are there. I've seen some a boxer, and you know, you've got to admire what he's doing with this Adam Azin. I believe he's topping the bill on February
Yeah,
11th.
he's a good
only had
fighter.
7 fights.
Great matching as well, February the 11th. An unbeaten Nicaraguan. Looks good on paper, 11, 12, and 0. But if you look at it, he had a split decision win over Robin Zamora, who you use a lot. So he's level. So it's another knockout win, but perfect matching by Carl Greaves. Yeah. Who are your prospects, John?
He's not even fought yet. But if you listen to the rumours around the circuit and
he
gets up to inspiring, Moses Itama is going to be.
That's my name down there, yeah.
We won't mention rumours and names and stuff like that, but apparently he's mustard, isn't he?
Yeah.
16, 17-year-old lad's been giving well-established top fighters all they can possibly handle. If he's built properly, he's going to rocket through these, earlier lower rankings of the heavyweights, and people are going to be talking about titles by the end of the year, I think.
He's turned over this quick. I was told about him 2 years ago. I was warned there's this kid. You might have heard of him the same time, John. I don't know if you've been aware of him, Steve. I was told him because he was going to these amateur tournaments, not just winning on points, but chinning good people in them. Top fighters, top youth, top juniors. And I've been told that he's turned over literally now on his 18th birthday. He wants to be the youngest world champion ever. He's that serious about that. He is obsessed by it.
I'm not a great follower of the amateurs, so I've not even come across him till I've seen the announcement of it, and I started reading it. I'm thinking, wow, I should have heard of this kid because he looks like he's going to be the new Mike Tyson, the way he's talking.
Yeah, and I know, with and he's someone, like Frank's got, a lot of fighters there, and I'm not sure, a lot of them, he keeps an eye on his stable, but there's certain fighters Frank will be very hands-on with, and I'd lay my money that Frank's hands-on with every single fight with this prospect.
He's got another one as well, hasn't he? I was speaking to him the other day. He's a good character, actually. I think he's might just be 20, might even be 19. Tommy Fletcher's going to become a heavyweight. He's leveling people. He's had 3 fights and he's completely flatlined 3 people. Cruiserweight, 6'7". He's going to be a heavyweight within 18, 20 months, and he's a big puncher as well and a big character. So to be some, big knockout artists, which sometimes it's what British fighters lack, isn't it, when we move into world class? They've not got that fight-ending power, but it looks like we've got a fair few now who can
We've
really...
got a few. Really and Adam Azim is also a big one of mine, I think, same as you, Steve.
Yeah. We spoke about Azim before.
Exciting 2023 then, hey guys?
Well, I'd say, we'll better let you go, Steve, because you're excited for your dinner at 8 o'clock, mate.
What do you get down there in Portugal, Steve?
Pardon?
You go down to the front and get the sardines, or what do you get? Are you a seafood person?
Look at him. He's some Salford. He's steak, mixed grill every night, mate.
Mr. Wood, going to go for the fish tonight because I've had the steak for the last 2 nights.
Yeah, Mr. Wood, your favourite table, and there's a what them ones with a big bone, them steaks that ever happens, or the guy turns it like that. He's a meat and veg man. He's from Salford, John. Come on. Anyway. Steve, thanks for coming on.
I can't even get a pint of bitter, but I did get what they call a porter there, which is like a stout, so I did all right.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, thanks for joining us tonight, Steve. I'll speak to you on Wednesday, mate, when you're back. John, thanks as always. Thanks very much, everyone who's tuned in and watched. And next week, we'll be back to our 6 rounds. We just wanted everyone to see what's happening at VIP and all the names that are coming through at VIP Boxing, who you're going to hear about on VIP shows and hopefully TV shows. First VIP show, February 25 in Doncaster. Is that right, Steve?
So on, mate, yeah.
Well, so if you're in Doncaster, get along there that night. Thanks very much, everybody.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.